Welcome to the Recovery Roundup, our monthly exploration of sobriety, community, and well-being. I'm Carrie Dury, your Director of Business Development here at Calvary Healing Center. Today, I'm joined by Brian Whitmer, our Chief Operating Officer. Thank you for joining.
Thank you for having me, Carrie.
Sure. Well, today I wanted to really actually build on the conversation that we had last month with Ramson in talking about really the effect that the coronavirus, this pandemic, has had on the community, what it does with isolation, how that is really playing out. So kind of just jump right into it. My first question is, how has this pandemic affected the recovery community? What has changed from your perspective?
Well, Carrie, it's had a pretty big effect on how people do recovery. Most meeting halls have been closed, and social distancing and isolation are probably the three of the biggest impacts from the coronavirus for people getting into recovery. Especially, it's very challenging for our new patients within Calvary who have never had recovery before. We, as part of our treatment plan, will have them step down. We would ask them to attend 90 meetings in 90 days. And part of being clean and sober is the community and the camaraderie and reaching out and going to meetings. And the fact that there aren't any meetings increases the isolation and makes it a lot more difficult. I guess it's good and bad. In some ways, if people are pressed for time, they can do a Zoom meeting in their car and still get some of that active recovery. However, there is the isolation piece that is also a danger as well, because there's hiding out in your house and putting yourself out there is a big part of recovery and reaching out for help. So people have had to adapt a lot, and that's probably the biggest change for the recovery community, and not having the availability. Also, recovery hugs are a big deal. People hug and support one another, and the social distancing and the physical aspect would probably be something to take in consideration and taken out of. And those would probably be some of the biggest effects on our community.
You mentioned Zoom meetings, which so many groups, organizations have turned to during this time. Are those, as it relates to the self-help groups, are those as effective, or are people wanting to really move back into an in-person format?
Everybody that I've encountered wants to, for the most part, I'd say probably maybe 90% of people want or miss the in-person meetings. They miss seeing their friends and some of the social aspect. There are some conveniences. I think that maybe Zoom meetings might be here to stay, just for the sense of the use of the meetings. They're easy to log into. They're easy to interact, and there's also a demographic of people that are much younger than I am that are used to chat rooms or doing online video conferencing and so on. So there might be a whole generation that's actually really used to this format and feel comfortable sharing as openly. So I think most people want to get back to the meetings. However, there may be a component that's this piece sticks around for good. Again, it does remove a big barrier, because oftentimes transportation can be an issue of getting to meetings and so on. So it removes the barrier of saying I can't make a meeting. Really the only barrier would be either having a smartphone or computer and internet. So this is a great way to get meetings. However, again, people do want to get back out there.
What would you say to someone, young people specifically, in recovery right now? What's a positive message, or something that we could really hopefully come to some sort of new normal in this on the other side of this pandemic? What would you say to those young people?
Well, I guess if you're new to recovery and you're young, there's a whole set of meetings and opportunity out there that you are unaware of or have not experienced yet. And there's a sense of camaraderie that comes with it. Uh, a big part of being young in recovery is focusing on fun things to do in sobriety. And I think this is a good opportunity for people to take advantage of while we had nice weather, going out and about and hiking and going down the rivers and seeing stuff. And you can do that, I guess, in a safe way, social distancing with a group of friends who are all sober, and something to do that's not drug related. And you can focus on your recovery outdoor. You can do outdoor meetings and being inventive. And like I was saying before, a lot of young people have a lot more experience with this format, so this may not be so difficult. However, the flip side of that is that it's, you want people reaching out and coming together and having that social activity, and so this can be a tough time for getting sober. You don't have necessarily people who want to sponsor and reach out to you. So ultimately, I think if you just keep showing up and keep doing the work and keep putting yourself out there, it will get better. I mean, at the end of the day, you don't have to use no matter what. And there's always a reason or an excuse to come up with why people want to relapse. But at the end of the day, if you're reaching out and putting yourself out there and doing whatever it takes, you can stay sober.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, that's a great positive message to end on for today. So thank you for taking a few minutes. I know you're very busy. And thanks everyone for joining. We'll see you on the next episode of the Recovery Roundup. See you later.
Awesome. Thanks. Bye.
Bye.